right. So are you ready to kind of level up your thinking a little bit? We're going deep today. We're doing a deep dive into Jim Murphy's inner excellence. And it's like, we all have these training manuals for our bodies, right?
Yeah.
Like how to work out, how to run a marathon, how to lift weights, but what about a training manual for our minds?
Yeah, and this is the best part. I mean, you think about this book, Inner Excellence. It's not just for athletes.
Right.
It's for anybody. It's
Yeah.
about how to unlock the best version of you.
Exactly. So no matter what you do, you're going to get a lot out of this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we start off with this really interesting story. It's about a pro water skier, Ryan Dodd. And imagine this. He just had this huge win, right?
Right.
Like the biggest win of his life. He's on top of the world. And then the next thing you know, he wakes up in an alley with a fractured skull.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. And that's where his journey to inner excellence began.
Interesting.
It really makes you think, right? What are we really chasing after when we're striving for success?
Well, and this is the thing. Murphy talks about this affluenza virus.
Okay.
And I think we all experience this in our culture. We feel this pressure, you know, to buy the latest gadget or to chase that promotion, even if it doesn't light us up inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what Murphy's talking about here, this obsession with, stuff, achievements, looks, money, that whole external package.
Yeah.
And so often we end up chasing those symbols instead of what truly matters.
So if it's not about the trophies and the fancy cars and all that stuff, what does matter? What's the real deal when it comes to feeling fulfilled?
It's that deep down desire to feel fully alive.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have those moments where we feel connected.
Yeah.
We feel like we're, reaching our potential, we're making a difference. And those are the moments we really crave.
Yeah.
But so often we get stuck chasing those fleeting highs instead of building something solid, a foundation for that lasting joy.
Right. So it's like we're on this hamster wheel running and running, but never really getting anywhere.
Exactly. And then, we become so fixated on winning, on being the best, that our self-worth gets all tangled up with our performance.
Yeah.
So we start believing that our value as a person depends on those external wins.
Which is kind of dangerous, right? Because let's be real, so much of life is totally outside our control.
Absolutely. And I think that's where this idea of selfless actualization comes in.
Okay.
That Murphy talks about. It's like reaching your full potential, but also serving something bigger than yourself. Imagine the satisfaction of helping someone E-less-E reach their goals.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of fulfillment just runs way deeper than any personal win.
That's really powerful. So we've got the problem laid out, right? The affluenza virus, the obsession with winning, all that external noise. But how do we actually overcome these things? What's the antidote? What's the cure?
Well, Murphy says the real battle isn't out there in the world, it's inside our own minds. He calls it monkey mind madness. It's that constant mental chatter, the self-doubt, the worry, all that noise that keeps us from dreaming big and actually going for it.
Ugh. Yes, the monkey mind. We all know that voice, right? Sometimes feels like it never shuts up, especially when you're stressed or you're facing a challenge.
Right. And it's not just random noise. I mean, Murphy gets really specific,
Okay.
and he identifies these, what he calls characters in our minds that kind of sabotage our efforts.
Okay.
So there's the trickster, always whispering those lies like, you're not good enough, you can't do that. And then you got the critic, who's judging everything we do, magnifying our mistakes and making us feel like we're failing.
Yeah, it's amazing how powerful those negative thoughts can be. They really can hold us back. But thankfully, Murphy doesn't just leave us with the problem. He gives us some solutions, a way out of that mental jungle.
Yeah, and this is where it gets exciting, because Murphy lays out 3 pillars of extraordinary performance.
Okay.
Love, wisdom, and courage.
Love, wisdom, and courage. All right, so break that down for us. How do those translate into actually performing at your best, whether it's in your career, your relationships, anything?
Okay, well, think of it like this. Love is leading with your heart, setting high standards for yourself and for those around you,
Mm-hmm.
and not letting external factors throw you off course.
Okay.
It's that deep love for what you do, your craft, and the people you work with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have wisdom, which is about extending your vision, finding a purpose beyond just you, and developing humility.
Mm-hmm.
So it's having the perspective to see those tough times as opportunities to learn and grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's courage, which is about being fully present in the moment, free from distractions and anxieties.
Yeah.
It's like visualizing yourself at your peak, completely absorbed in what you're doing.
I love that framework. It's so good. It's not about chasing those external rewards, you know? It's about building these inner qualities
Right.
that makes us unstoppable. And one thing I find really interesting is how Murphy ties these pillars into the practices of the samurai.
Oh, yeah. The samurai had this incredible code
Yeah.
that emphasized self-mastery and a willingness to sacrifice for something bigger than themselves.
Hmm.
And it's fascinating because their practices offer some amazing insights into how we can train our minds for peak performance.
So how do we actually put these ideas into action? What are some specific techniques for mastering our minds, like the samurai did?
Well, Murphy talks about renewing the mind. And just like we train our bodies, we have to train our minds too.
Right.
And he suggests a powerful nightly routine. Taking some time for reflection, gratitude, previewing the next day, visualizing success. It's all about intentionally shaping your thoughts and beliefs.
That makes so much sense. We wouldn't expect to, run a marathon without training, so why would we expect to perform at our best mentally without, training our minds?
Exactly. And it's not always about, feeling good and positive all the time.
Right.
Murphy also emphasizes embracing suffering.
Okay.
He says those tough times, those are a crucial part of growth. Think about the challenges you've overcome.
Yes.
They made you stronger, right? The book shares these amazing stories of people who endured incredible suffering, and they came out on the other side transformed.
Yeah, it reminds me of that quote, the obstacle is the way.
Right.
It's not about avoiding the tough stuff, but learning to move through it with grace and resilience.
Absolutely. And through that, through those challenges, we can discover a deeper kind of joy.
Okay.
It's not about being happy all the time, but cultivating that sense of well-being that's not dependent on what's happening around you. Imagine feeling content even when things aren't going your way.
That kind of inner peace is priceless, especially in today's world where everything feels so fast-paced and unpredictable. But how do we cultivate that? How do we create that inner sanctuary?
This is where it gets really fascinating because Murphy says it starts with understanding how our feelings and our physical responses, our physiology, impact how we perform.
Okay.
He uses this analogy of a juicy lemon drop experiment to illustrate this.
Okay, this sounds really interesting. Tell me more about this experiment. What's the connection to performance?
Well, the experiment showed how our subconscious minds make decisions based on patterns.
Okay.
So we connect certain feelings to certain experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And these associations actually influence the choices we make in the future.
So, like, if we've had a negative experience, our subconscious might try to prevent us from repeating that experience, even if it means playing it safe and holding us back.
Exactly. But the good news is we can choose to focus on things that empower us.
Okay.
Think about the impact of the books you read, the people you spend time with. They shape how you see the world and influence your state of mind.
Right. So it's all about being intentional with the input, right?
Yeah,
What we allow into our lives.
absolutely. Yeah. And Murphy offers a bunch of techniques for becoming more present and controlling your state.
So give us the rundown. What are some of these techniques? How do we start taking charge?
Okay. First, you've got to get out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to quiet that mental chatter, connect with your heart, your intuition, your gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being so absorbed in an activity that you completely lose track of time. That's what being present feels like.
It's that state of flow, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just totally in the zone, effortlessly performing at your best.
Absolutely. Another technique is to focus on your routines.
Okay.
Develop habits that support your goals and let go of what you can't control. Think about top athletes. Their routines create consistency, which reduces stress and frees up their mental energy for performing.
So even something as simple as like a consistent morning routine
Yes.
can actually make a difference in our overall performance.
Huge difference. And, don't underestimate the power of gratitude. Taking time to appreciate the good things in your life, no matter how small, can shift your focus from what's missing to what you already have.
Right. Gratitude is like a superpower. It's
Ah.
so simple, but it's such an instant mood booster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Murphy suggests finding a mantra,
Okay.
a powerful phrase or word that helps you stay grounded. Especially during those moments of stress or distraction, repeating that can have a huge impact.
So it's like having a mental reset button
Yes.
that we can hit whenever we start, spiraling into those negative thoughts.
Exactly. And one of the most impactful techniques, and this one might surprise you, is to eliminate hurry.
Mm. Ooh, this one's tough.
It's so hard, right?
It is, yeah.
But that, that constant sense of urgency
Mm-hmm.
that can sabotage our performance and create so much stress.
Mm-hmm.
So Murphy's encouraging us to slow down, to savor the journey, to move through our day with intention and purpose rather than that frantic energy.
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot and actually taking control of our time and energy.
Exactly. It's funny, we were talking about that hamster wheel feeling
Yeah.
earlier, and it's like we're constantly chasing after something, but never quite reaching that, that feeling of true satisfaction.
Yeah, we're kind of running on autopilot, but we're not really sure where we're headed
Right.
or why.
Exactly. And that's why, this idea of controlling our state, those feelings and physiological responses
Mm-hmm.
that influence our actions, that's so important.
You mentioned the juicy lemon drop experiment earlier.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear more about that.
Okay.
How does it relate to all this?
Well, think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how certain scents or sounds can instantly transport you back to a specific memory,
Oh, yeah.
complete with all the emotions you felt at that time?
Yeah, it's like those sensory experiences have this incredible power to just evoke these really vivid memories.
That's exactly what the Juicy Lemon Drop experiment explored.
Okay.
It showed how our subconscious minds are constantly seeking patterns and creating these associations.
Mm.
And those associations can have a huge impact on how we respond to certain situations.
So if we've had like a negative experience in the past, our subconscious might trigger those same feelings of anxiety or fear in a similar situation later on.
Right.
Even if there's no real danger present.
Exactly. It's like our brains are trying to protect us,
Yeah.
from repeating those past mistakes or encountering those potential threats.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that protective mechanism can actually hold us back.
That makes so much sense. It's like we're carrying around all this baggage from the past
Right.
that's influencing our present moment experiences without us even realizing it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so crucial to become aware of these patterns and start taking control of our state. And Murphy offers some great techniques for doing that. He talks about the importance of, getting out of our heads, quieting that constant mental chatter, and connecting with our hearts, our intuition.
I love that. It's like shifting from overthinking to feeling,
Yes,
tapping into that deeper wisdom that resides within us.
exactly. And one powerful way to do this is by focusing on our routines.
Okay.
Routines aren't just about efficiency. They also provide a sense of stability and control,
Mm-hmm.
which can have a calming effect on our state.
It's like creating a foundation of consistency
Yeah,
that frees up our mental energy for those more creative and fulfilling pursuits.
precisely. And let's not forget the power of gratitude.
Right.
Taking time to appreciate the good things in our lives, no matter how small, can instantly shift our state from negativity to positivity.
Yeah, it's like taking a break from that affluenza virus we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier. Instead of constantly striving for more,
Right?
we pause to appreciate the abundance we already have.
Exactly. Gratitude is a game changer.
Yeah.
Murphy also suggests finding a mantra,
Right?
a powerful phrase or word that resonates with you and helps you stay grounded, especially in those moments of stress or distraction.
It's like having a mental anchor that keeps us from getting swept away by those turbulent waves of emotion.
Precisely repeating your mantra can create a sense of calm and focus, helping you navigate those challenging situations with more grace. And then here's one that might surprise you.
Okay.
Murphy also emphasizes the importance of eliminating hurry.
Oh, this one hits close to home.
I know, right?
It feels like we're constantly rushing from one thing to the next, never really taking the time to just savor the moment or just breathe.
That's the thing. That constant sense of urgency can actually sabotage our performance
Mm-hmm.
and create so much unnecessary stress.
Mm.
So Murphy encourages us to slow down, to really savor the journey, to move through our day with intention and purpose rather than that, their frantic, scattered energy.
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot and reclaiming control of our time and energy.
Exactly. Now, remember those mental blocks we talked about?
Yeah.
Those moments when our minds just seem to trip us up, even when we know we're capable of more.
Yes, those are the worst. It's
Yeah.
like our own minds are working against us.
Well, Murphy goes deep into this
Okay.
and explains how our subconscious actually creates these blocks to protect us from emotional pain.
Mm.
It's like a defense mechanism, but one that can sometimes backfire.
So even though it's trying to help us, our subconscious can actually hold us back from achieving our full potential.
Exactly. But the amazing thing is we can actually rewire our brains and overcome those mental blocks.
Okay.
Murphy introduces this fascinating technique called Hollywood Helper.
Okay.
And it's a step-by-step process for reprogramming those painful memories and beliefs that might be holding us back.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me all about this Hollywood Helper technique.
Okay.
It sounds incredibly powerful.
Imagine watching a movie of a painful or embarrassing memory, but instead of experiencing it in real time, you speed it up, you play it backward, and you even change the ending.
Wow. It's like we're editing the script of our past,
Yes.
replacing those negative scenes with something more empowering.
Exactly. Hollywood Helper involves visualizing the experience as a black and white film, gradually speeding it up and playing it in reverse. And this helps detach the emotion from the memory, taking away its power over us.
It's like we're taking the sting out of those painful memories, making them less intense, less likely to trigger a negative reaction.
Precisely, the next step involves identifying the smallest change you could have made in that situation to create a more positive outcome.
Okay.
It's about empowering ourselves, even in hindsight, to see that we always have choices.
I love that. It's like we're rewiring those neural pathways,
Yes.
replacing those old negative associations with new empowering ones.
Exactly. And finally, you infuse the memory with a positive feeling.
Okay.
So you recall a time when you felt truly confident, calm, or joyful, and you bring that feeling into the negative experience. Repetition is key here. You keep revisiting the memory with this new positive feeling until the association is firmly established.
It's like we're intentionally conditioning our minds to respond differently to those triggers that once held us back.
Precisely. And this technique can be incredibly effective for overcoming all sorts of fears, phobias, any situation where mental blocks are hindering your performance.
This is revolutionary stuff. It gives us a tangible tool to reshape our mental landscape
Yes?
and unlock our true potential. But what about performing under pressure? How do we stay composed, focused when the stakes are high?
That's where the concept of presence becomes crucial.
Okay.
Murphy makes this point. The peak performance isn't just about talent or skill. It's about cultivating a mindset that embraces pressure
Okay.
and turns it into fuel.
You mentioned golfer Stuart Sink earlier, who won the British Open despite not feeling particularly confident going into it.
Right.
He stayed present, focused on the process, and he actually ended up winning the whole thing.
Exactly. Sink's story beautifully illustrates the transformative power of presence. It's not about pretending that our doubts and fears don't exist.
Right.
It's about acknowledging them and then choosing to focus on what we can control,
Okay.
our effort, our attitude, and our actions in the present moment.
It's like shifting our attention away from the scoreboard and back to the game itself, finding joy and fulfillment in the process rather than obsessing over the outcome.
Precisely. And Murphy outlines 4 key principles for cultivating presence, even under intense pressure.
Okay.
The first is share your heart, not your ego. This means letting go of the need to prove yourself or impress others, and instead just focus on giving your best effort, regardless of the results.
It's about releasing those self-imposed pressures and rediscovering the joy of simply performing, of giving your all to the task at hand.
Exactly. The next is pursue mastery, not just the score.
Okay.
So this emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and growth, finding satisfaction in that journey of improvement rather than fixating on that external validation.
It's about embracing the process of becoming the best version of ourselves, regardless of, awards or recognition.
Precisely. And here's one that might sound a bit unconventional. Love your opponent. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be best friends with them,
Right.
but it does involve approaching the competition with respect, sportsmanship, a genuine appreciation for the challenge they represent.
It's about recognizing that our opponents, in a way, are our allies in our journey of growth.
Yes.
They push us to become better versions of ourselves.
Exactly. And finally, visualize presence, not perfection.
Okay.
So this involves releasing the pressure of striving for an unattainable ideal and instead focusing on being fully engaged in the moment, accepting that mistakes are a natural part of the process.
It's about embracing imperfection
Yeah.
and finding freedom in the flow of the present moment.
Precisely. Now remember all those techniques we discussed for controlling our state, like Hollywood Helper, finding a mantra, focusing on your routines.
Yes, those were so helpful.
Well, those techniques are just as valuable when it comes to performing under pressure. By training our minds to stay present and focused, we can tap into that state of flow even when things get intense.
This is so empowering. It means that we're not at the mercy of our emotions or those external pressures. We have the power to choose our mindset
Yes.
and shape our experience even when the heat is on.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about how these principles of inner excellence extend beyond individual performance
Okay.
and apply to leadership as well.
Okay.
Imagine a workplace where everyone feels valued, empowered, and truly inspired to reach their full potential.
That sounds incredible. How do these ideas translate into effective leadership? What does it look like in action?
Well, Murphy argues that extraordinary leaders embody three key principles.
Okay.
They redefine success,
Okay.
they connect individuals to a vision beyond themselves,
Right.
and they seek self-mastery to help others do the same.
All right, so let's explore each of these a little bit further.
Correct.
What does it mean to redefine success, especially in a leadership context?
It's about shifting the focus away from just individual achievements and bottom-line results
Mm-hmm.
to a more holistic definition of success that encompasses growth, service, and making a positive impact.
So it's about creating a culture that values collaboration, contribution, and working toward a shared purpose that goes beyond just personal gain.
Exactly. It's about fostering a sense of community where everyone feels valued and empowered to contribute their unique talents and perspectives.
I love that. It creates a much more supportive and fulfilling work environment.
Precisely. And then that next principle, connecting individuals to a vision beyond themselves.
Hmm.
This is all about inspiring your team with a compelling mission that resonates with their values and aspirations.
Okay.
You know, it's a mission that goes beyond those day-to-day tasks and
Mhm.
connects them to something bigger than themselves.
It's about tapping into that deeper human desire to contribute to something meaningful, to make a positive difference in the world.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of purpose and meaning that fuels motivation and drives excellence. And then that final principle,
Mm-hmm.
seeking self-mastery to help others do the same. This is all about leading by example.
Okay.
You know, it's about embodying the values and practices of inner excellence, demonstrating a commitment to continuous learning and growth, and inspiring your team members to do the same.
It's about fostering a culture of growth and development where everyone feels supported and encouraged to reach their full potential.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of shared accountability and support where everyone is committed to each other's success. And by embodying these principles, leaders create a ripple effect that extends far beyond the workplace,
Wow.
you know, impacting families, communities, even the world at large.
This is so inspiring and really highlights how leadership isn't just about achieving goals,
Right.
but it's about empowering others and creating a positive legacy that extends far beyond ourselves.
Absolutely.
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about some practical applications.
Okay.
How can we incorporate these ideas into our daily lives, whether we're leading a team or just striving to improve our own performance?
One of the most crucial things is to be mindful of our thoughts and emotions.
Oh.
Remember those negative voices we talked about earlier,
Hmm.
the trickster, the critic, and that pesky monkey mind?
Ugh, yes. They can be so sneaky and insidious. It's so easy to get caught up in that downward spiral of negativity without even realizing it.
That's why it's so important to develop a practice of simply observing our thoughts without judgment.
Oh, okay.
Notice those negative patterns as they arise
Yeah.
and gently redirect your attention to something more empowering.
So it's not about suppressing or denying those negative thoughts, but rather acknowledging them and then consciously choosing to focus on something more positive.
Precisely. And there are tons of ways to do this. You could try wearing a rubber band around your wrist and snapping it each time a negative thought pops up.
Okay.
Or you could practice replacing those negative thoughts with positive affirmations.
I love that. It's like we're retraining our minds to focus on the good stuff rather than getting bogged down in all the negativity.
Exactly. And another incredibly powerful technique is visualization.
Okay.
You know, take a few minutes each day to imagine yourself achieving your goals, whatever they may be.
Mm-hmm.
Create a vivid picture in your mind and actually feel the emotions associated with success.
It's like we're creating a mental blueprint for success, making it more likely to manifest in reality.
Exactly. And this is something you can do anytime, anywhere. Imagine yourself delivering that killer presentation, acing that job interview, or winning that championship game.
It's like a mental rehearsal for success.
Precisely. And speaking of preparation, one of those practical things you can do is establish routines that support your goals. You know, we've talked about how important routines are for athletes, but the same principle applies to any area of life.
Right.
Set up a morning routine that gets you in the right headspace. Create a system for managing your tasks and responsibilities. Develop healthy habits that support your physical and mental well-being.
It's all about creating an environment.
Yes.
both internal and external, that sets us up for success.
Exactly. And one final thing I want to emphasize is the importance of surrounding yourself with positive influences.
Okay.
The people you hang out with, the books you read, the media you consume, it all shapes your thoughts and beliefs.
So if we want to achieve our full potential, we need to be really intentional about who we spend our time with
Yes.
and what we allow into our minds.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with the people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth.
Mm-hmm.
Read books and articles that expand your knowledge and open your mind to new perspectives, and be mindful of your media consumption limit, exposure to negative or draining influences.
It's about creating a positive feedback loop that reinforces our beliefs and empowers us to achieve our goals.
Exactly. And by incorporating these practical tips into our daily lives, we can create a ripple effect that extends beyond ourselves and positively impacts the world around us.
You know, it's interesting. We've been talking about all these tools and techniques
Yeah.
for achieving inner excellence, but there's this one idea in the book that I keep coming back to.
Yep.
And it's this concept of surrendering control.
Oh, that's a really good one. It might seem kind of counterintuitive at first,
Yeah.
but surrendering control is actually a key part of inner excellence.
Yeah, because it seems like, you know, if you're trying to achieve something, you have to have control, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to have a plan, you got to stick to it. So how does surrendering control fit into that?
Well, it's a common misconception that, constantly trying to control everything is going to lead to success.
Mm-hmm.
But Murphy actually argues that it can lead to more anxiety, more stress, and ultimately a diminished sense of agency.
So when we try to micromanage every aspect of our lives,
Yeah.
we actually end up feeling less in control.
Exactly. It's like trying to hold water in your hand.
Okay.
The tighter you grip, the more slips through your fingers.
Yeah.
So when we surrender control, we release that tension and we actually open ourselves up to new possibilities
Mm-hmm.
that we might have missed when we were so busy trying to force things to go our way.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like that saying, let go and let God.
Right.
You know, when we release our grip on the outcome, we create space for something greater to emerge.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that surrendering control doesn't mean being passive or giving up.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we don't have control over everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. We just focus our energy on what we can control. Our effort, our attitude, our actions in the present moment.
It's about embracing the unknown and trusting that even when things don't go according to plan, there's a greater purpose at work.
Precisely. And that shift in mindset can be incredibly liberating. It frees us from the burden of trying to force things to go our way and allows us to flow with the natural rhythm of life, embracing both the challenges and the triumphs with grace and equanimity.
I love that image of flowing with the rhythm of life. It makes me think of that quote by Reinhold Niebuhr.
Oh, yeah.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Cultivating that mindset of surrender allows us to tap into a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment, regardless of what's happening around us.
This has been such an amazing deep dive.
Yeah, that has.
We've covered so much, from the affluenza virus to the power of our subconscious minds to all these practical techniques for, controlling our state and performing under pressure.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up, I just want to kind of recap some of the key takeaways
Yeah.
that really stood out for me.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Just to really drive these points home. First and foremost, we got to be mindful of that affluenza virus,
Yeah.
that pressure to chase external validation, material possessions.
Mhm.
It's a trap that can lead us away from what truly matters, feeling alive, connecting with our purpose, making a positive impact.
Absolutely. And to overcome that, remember those three pillars:
Mm.
love, wisdom, and courage.
Yes.
Lead with your heart, expand your vision, and be fully present.
And just like we train our bodies for physical strength, we need to train our minds for mental mastery.
Yeah.
Practice gratitude, find a mantra that works for you, and eliminate hurry.
Right.
And remember to embrace those challenges
Yes.
as opportunities for growth and transformation.
Absolutely.
And don't let those negative voices, those inner critics, hold you back.
Right.
Use those techniques like Hollywood Helper to reprogram those limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Visualize your success, be mindful of the company you keep and the information you allow into your mind.
So important.
And perhaps most importantly, surrender control. Trust the process, focus on what you can control, let go of the outcome.
By embracing these principles, you can unlock your full potential, achieve incredible things, and live a life filled with meaning, purpose, and true joy.
If you're feeling inspired by everything we talked about today and you want to dive deeper, I highly recommend checking out Jim Murphy's Inner Excellence.
Great book.
It's full of practical techniques and inspiring stories that can truly change your life.
Remember, the journey to inner excellence is ongoing. It's a lifelong pursuit of growth, self-discovery, and making a positive impact. But the rewards are immeasurable.
Yeah.
You have the potential to achieve extraordinary things both for yourself and the world around you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into inner excellence.
That's been a pleasure.
Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep seeking that best possible you.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy diving.
Thank you for joining us at Wisdom House, where we bring you timeless insights from the greatest books. If you found this deep dive valuable, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom House. Stay curious, stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next video.